I started first smoking cigarettes, started smoking weed, drinking beer. I had older sisters who were much older teenagers who were just experimenting, and I was very young, and things were very chaotic in my house at that time. And I like books, and I like to stay in my room, but I also had a best friend that lived 4 houses away, and her parents were alcoholics. And so we would sit in the living room smoking cigarettes and drinking while her parents were passed out upstairs. What seemed like innocent experimentation just went off into the start of something so much bigger than I would ever understand until many, many years later, understanding what alcoholism and addiction were and how that was going to impact my life and my children's lives in a way that I never would have imagined. I ended up getting involved with PCP, and I had I had my first child when I was 18, and it was a really abusive relationship. Even though I was in the streets, I always had a home to go home to, and I was always trying to connect with what was going on out in the world and just trying to understand what people go through and why are some people, born into situations that are really rough and tough, and why did I have so much privilege and always have a safe place to go home to? And I think my parents were always struggling to understand what was going on with me. And I was just trying to figure out my place in the world and trying to figure out how to become comfortable in my own skin. Then I ended up with the Latino Commission, and I really found people there who helped me understand my culture and what it meant to be a young woman and to be a young Chicana, Mexican, American woman. And they just loved me and accepted me and helped me to understand why it was so important to embrace who I was and not struggle with trying to understand the world and just find inside of me my strength. One of the biggest turning points was my daughter was in a group home, and I was in a program, and they told me that I couldn't visit my daughter unless I stayed in the program, and nobody had ever told me that I couldn't see one of my kids. So I stayed in the program, and I wanted to have a relationship with my daughter, and that really helped me to settle down and start thinking about what my role was as a mom and what I wanted to do with my life. When moms come in and they have access to prenatal care services or clothing or food. They are able to take care of things and think about their families in a different way and think about their relationships in a way that makes sense. If you're so stressed out by where are you going to sleep, how are you going to feed your children, how are you going to get to work, where are you going to take a shower, you can't think about how to have a healthy relationship, how to be a good tenant, a good neighbor, a good person in the community. I'm fortunate to work here at the Homeless Prenatal Program. I'm fortunate to be connected and to have good friends, to have family, to have healthy children, to be able to know when, where, and how to ask for help, who to turn to, who to trust, where to go, and how to be comfortable in my own skin.